Welcome to Drummer Mamas.
Thank you.
For anyone who doesn't know you, can you tell us what you do?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the umbrella title is just working drummer, and then underneath that, there's kind of various stems, so to speak. So the gigging side of my work is the kind of on the ground working drummer who does kind of session stuff, but then also a lot of the wedding stuff and then recording, and so just genuine player. And then there's the education side of it. So I'm quite a busy teacher, and I've always really loved teaching. That's always been a big part of the work life I wanted to build. I run a drum camp called the Drummers Odyssey Camp, which happens every October. I do kind of clinics and master classes is kind of another angle of the education side of it. I had 2 books come out, and I'm working on a 3rd one at the moment, so there's kind of that stem as well. You could put composer in there maybe as well, because I released a track last year, and I've got a few more of those in the pipeline as well. So it's lots of like little things that will keep me busy. Yeah, I get quite jumpy if I just do one thing for too long.
Wow, that is a lot. That's
That
great.
is a lot.
Variety.
Yes. So,
It's good fun.
am I right in thinking a lot of people might know you from the camps that you've been putting on?
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that too much, but can you tell us what to expect from the one you've got coming up this year?
Oh yeah, totally. So, someone who you know very well recently, we have Klaus Hessler coming this year, which will be very cool. He was the quickest I've ever signed up a tutor ever. We had the whole thing ironed out in about 20 minutes, which was great. So he's come in, which I'm really excited about. I've wanted him for a while because I feel like his vibe and how he views education is like exactly what the camp puts out, which is cool. And then we got Naomi Forbes coming, who's a really cool like pop gospel player, played with like Cat Burns, one of the people from Little Mix, and I always forget her name, Leanne, I think. So she's done a lot of that sort of stuff. She's played for Paloma Faith, so she's just the kind of church gospel pop drummer, which would be very cool. And then we got a guy called Tim Goodyear coming, who is one of the top West End drummers. So he's going to be sharing a lot of that sort of stuff, which is really cool. So he's done like Hamilton, Book of Mormon, Frozen. So it's quite a diverse lineup. It usually is a diverse lineup. That's usually the goal, but I feel like this year's particularly spread out.
Cool.
Which is good fun. And then there's loads of hangs. There'll be an industry chat at some point, so I'll invite someone in who works in the drum industry, but not necessarily just in like a playing capacity. So we've had like artist reps in the past. We've had like cymbal smiths. Had the guys from Drummers On come in once when that was a thing. So it'll be that side of it, and then we hang in the evening, and it's basically just an intensive weekend of drum education and drummer hangs, which is very fun. It is a bit of a highlight of the year.
How do you think about the lineups and how far advanced do you kind of plan them? Have you got ideas already for years ahead? And like, how do you make your choices?
That's a great question. I do have a bit of a list of drummers that if I just notice someone and go, oh, that could be a good fit, I'll kind of pop their name down. I don't really start thinking about the lineup until January or February, because then a lot of it is I'll start emailing out, but a lot of the time people are busy or booked up. So the lineup kind of changes depending who's available. Usually I try and get someone who's got some sort of really good gig, someone who's really good in the education sphere, and then someone who's got something very niche, so something very kind of specific. So last year was a good example of Ian Matthews, who plays for Kasabian. He was my like gigging guy. Isaac Jambar, who's very good at the education side of it. And then Russ Piner, who's one of the Royal Marine drummers. So it's a very niche style of drumming. So it gives people a bit of an insight into that. And then trying to keep it relatively spread. Like I like to try and get a female drummer on it if I can. It doesn't always work, but I like to try to if possible. And because the lineup's different every year, there's always an element of every year's kind of a one-off, once in a lifetime lineup. That's the pitch. So it's good fun. And I feel like the other side of it is actually a bit selfish. It's also just what drummers do I want to hang with for a weekend, because I'm going to be spending a lot of my time with them. So a lot of time they're just who do I want to learn from and hang with, and if I get excited by it, then hopefully other people do as well.
I think that's the best way to make a drum event, isn't it?
Yeah, just be entirely self-indulgent.
How much pressure or responsibility then do you feel to like entertain and to have things planned, or to kind of lead the social side of things?
Yeah, so I'm a classic overthinker anyway. So 9 times out of 10, if I walk into the social area while everyone's hanging, if I don't see everyone like really laughing and enjoying themselves, I instantly go into they're hating this. Okay, what do we do? And I think over the years I've learned that the social side of it kind of just carries itself a bit. I don't actually really need to get involved that much. We rarely get anyone come into the camp who's really hard work and just causes an atmosphere. Like drummers are fairly friendly by and large, so I feel like everyone just sort of engages. And then 9 times out of 10, I kind of just let the it's basically myself and the tutors are the four people where we spread out, we talk to as many people as we can, and you're just checking if anyone's on the fringe. So I try and keep an eye on that sometimes if someone's kind of sat on their own and they're either introverting because they've just had like a 2-hour session with, you know, Yost Nickel and their brains are just fried a little bit, or they're not finding a way into the social side of it. And I kind of view that as my job to try and hoik them in a little bit if possible. But yeah, I do feel a bit of pressure, but I also try and manage it a bit and go, it's not entirely my job to like really make sure everyone's kind of clicking. Like there is an element of people will get what they need out of it kind of naturally. It's a very good question.
100%. I want to move slightly to social media, and I'm interested to know like how your relationship has changed over the years with socials, and how is it now?
I have a real love-hate thing with social media. I get that I do really get that it's important. I think I definitely post less now, and if I do post, it's really how do I word it? Try and be really deliberate with the kind of like what type of drummer am I trying to put out there. So I think when I first started doing it, I was very education heavy. So I basically only really posted like short drum lessons, which was really fun, and then realized actually like I still want to be playing lots and doing the session stuff I really enjoy. Like I like playing with as many people as I can. If someone goes on my Instagram and they just see loads of drum lessons, then I'm just viewed as the drum teacher, which isn't a problem, but at the time that's what I wanted. And then I kind of realized, okay, I need to kind of move away from that because the education side of my work can kind of carry itself now. Like it's pretty busy with minimal effort, which is good. So then I moved more into the like I'd only post videos of me playing with artists at gigs, or like if I went on tour on shows, I'd just post that stuff, which is good. But then obviously you're dependent on getting booked for gigs and shows and whatnot. So I definitely minimize how often I'm on it now. I realized that the comparison side of it was definitely not helpful for me, because everyone only ever posts their highlights, don't they? So you see everyone posting all the incredible stuff they're doing and you're like, oh, I'm not doing any of that at the moment. Oh, okay, clearly they're here, I'm here. And I think the hierarchy side of it is so easy to fall into that I think I hit a point where I was like, I'm basically on it about an hour a day now. I've got a new app on my phone that basically blocks it after an hour. So I try and minimize it. And the follower count has always been really hard to not get slightly obsessed over. And like my following isn't particularly good. So it's always really easy to fall into, why is it not? And why do I not have X amount? And then go in. I hit the point where I realized my follower count wasn't particularly high, but it was really invested. And I realized that was a good game changer of like, if I put on a masterclass, people would come to it, and most of them would be like, oh no, I follow you on Instagram. So I'd be like, okay, so it's not a big number, but it's a very invested number. And I feel that's more important in a way. I'm not sure companies and stuff would agree, but I get that there's nuance to it, isn't there?
No, I think you're absolutely right, because you could have hundreds and thousands of people following you because, I don't know, maybe you did a cover of Bon Jovi, but
Yeah,
what if
sure.
then 90% of them are Bon Jovi fans?
Yeah,
They're
that's
not
a good
the right
shout.
audience for you, really. So I think you're absolutely right. They're invested, and that is what matters in the end.
Yeah,
You know?
I almost view it more now. My Instagram's almost more like a old school phone book, really, where it's more contacts than followers. So when I go through my followers, most of it is like, oh no, they're people I've played with, or they're people that I know on the circuit. So it's almost more like a phone book rather than I have 150,000, like you said, like just music fans who are liking the one video I put up at some point. So, and that might change. I would never say no to having more followers, but I feel it's healthy to manage it in an expectation way.
I would like to talk a little bit about identity next. So Who do you feel you are if you're not playing drums? And do you feel like your identity has changed over the years?
That's such a good question. Um, I actually love that as a topic. I think it's really important because I think it's very easy for us to attach identity to something that is quite fickle, if we're being honest. So it's like, okay, I'm a drummer and that's my biggest passion and I love it. I'm only one broken arm away from not being able to do it for a bit. And if that happens, how inwardly would I crumble if I suddenly wasn't able to play drums? And I love it as a topic because in church we talk about it all the time. You've only got to be in a church for 10 minutes and it will probably come up because it's a real, I think, a real internal thing that's good to talk about. So I've always really struggled with if I wasn't AJ the drummer, what would I kind of land on? And I think like being the drummer is really fun, but it's also kind of it's the activity, it's the outward thing that I do. I think more so, I think it's important to go inwards and be like, if I'm in a room and I never spoke about my job, what would people actually think about me? Like, am I kind? Am I nice to be around? Do I bring a nice atmosphere? And I think definitely in the past I've looked back and been like, oh, actually no, I was quite moany. I actually just bitched and moaned about everything all the time, and maybe I was actually quite a negative person to be around because I thought it was funny rather than actually like life-giving, you know. And then if the career does ever change, all that stuff still comes with me into whatever new thing is. And we pray it doesn't happen for a while because obviously I love playing drums. But yeah, I notice when my identity attaches back onto being a drummer again, and I notice that because I beat myself up more if the career is not moving where it should, or I find in conversations I name drop way more than I should because I feel like I'm trying to elevate something about myself that doesn't need to be elevated. So I notice when I attach onto it again, and trying to disconnect from it is quite tough, but it's important, really important. It's a good question.
So, with that being said, how important is it to have like some sort of control over how others perceive you? And the lens I'm looking through is more like online and stuff like this.
Yeah, sure.
What do you do?
Yes.
Because obviously we all go through the thing of you can't control what other people think, and sometimes, if I'm just speaking from experience, if I've gone to post something and thinking, oh, am I going to look like a dick? Or yeah, how loud are those voices for you on who you are?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm a classic overthinker, so I'm very much 99 positive comments become irrelevant when I see one not good one, and that's what I tend to zero in on. And I think it almost, like, it's so hard, isn't it? And when you want to post something, and instead of just thinking, oh, this was just fun and I enjoyed it and I'll share it, it goes into, how will I be perceived from this? Am I so one battle I had loads was, does this look like I'm trying to present myself as the drummer that I'm not? Does it look like I'm trying to tick a box? And I found that thought really unhealthily meant I just didn't post for ages, because it was almost like anything I did, I'd be like, oh, I'm just trying to look like the gospel drummer, and I'm not that, so I shouldn't post it. And I was like, well, no, it was a cool chop and I enjoyed it. I should just be able to post it because I enjoyed it, you know what I mean? And I think it's also where social media is tricky, because it's like you just see the occasional snippet of what someone's uploaded, and then you can assign so much meaning to it that wasn't intended. And I think that can be quite stressful, I think, sometimes. It's why, if I'm honest, most of the time I try and be quite, almost as unpersonal as possible in a weird way, where it's like I very rarely talk about anything really of any depth, because my social media for me was very much just I play drums, here's me drumming. Occasionally I'll post a story if something happens in like the real world, and I'll go like, that's not okay, here's my thoughts on it. But it's so tricky when if that's all someone sees, they can very quickly form a picture of you that might not be you, and it's really tough. I'm not sure I have an answer for it, if I'm honest, because I feel like it's a really tricky thing to navigate, and it's very much a 21st century problem, isn't it? Because normally you just go and sit in a pub with people, and if you said something and someone was like, oh, I'm not sure, you could then clarify and re-explain, whereas you don't have that on social media.
No, totally. And I don't know if there is an answer for it. I like to ask the questions.
It's a deep question. It's something that's important.
Yeah, because I know me and Jem have always had we've always had the commonality of identity struggles, especially like when we had our babies and things. And I think sometimes social media just adds to that struggle, and it doesn't need to, but I think talking about it can make it sting a bit less.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a very universal, common thing. I think everyone has their thing, don't they? And everyone has their thing that they think people view about them that probably isn't true. So yeah, it's a tough one, really tough one. I think it's how much you go inwards, isn't it? Is always the thing of like, it's so easy to think people think a certain thing of you, which is usually quite ungrounded, usually. There's probably like a psychological term for it. I don't know what it is.
I think it depends so much on a lot of different factors as well, doesn't it? Like something that you kind of this overthinking topic, I have that too. And I used to worry a lot more about what people thought of me, and it's got a lot less over the years. But it would depend on what day it was, how tired I was, what else was going on, what I could see other people were doing. And I think that is something that a lot of musicians face. So
yeah. Actually, because you mentioned the having kids thing, that must be really tough with, like my sister's just had her daughter, so we got a really beautiful 1-year-old niece now. And she her Instagram account is very heavily on the like new mum content. And the amount of comments she gets of like other people really like being like, that's a terrible thing you've done, like your kid's going to be really screwed up. And she had to really be like, oh, I need to tune those voices out now of people thinking I'm a bad mum. And that must hit 10 times more than people thinking you're a bad drummer. Like that's such a more personal thing. So it must be really tough moving into the being a drummer and having kids. Like it must be a minefield.
I think it's funny as well that it just changes, doesn't it? Like with different phases of life, then yeah, sort of becomes less and more at different times. I guess it's different things in people's lives. It's the same, but
yeah, interesting.
Can I ask you if you've got any role models for drumming and business in particular?
I think most of the role models have been drummers that I've met maybe at like drum shows who you just realise they're just normal people and they conduct themselves as such. So one, this might be quite an obvious one because I feel like I've always been a fan of it. So Mike Johnson, for example, I've always looked up to him in how he conducts himself at drum shows. Because the first time I ever saw him at a drum show was at the London drum show when that was a thing like 10 years ago. And the thing I noticed was that he introduced himself to everyone, even though he was like playing the main stage. And I'd see him chat to someone, and they'd be like, oh, my name's Tony. And he'd be like, oh, cool, yeah, I'm Mike. And the guy's like, yeah, I know. Like, I just saw you play. And now I was like, if I ever get to any sort of level like that, that's what I'd like to be like, is not assuming people know who you are, giving people the time of day to actually talk to them and chat to them. So in that sense, like most of the tutors on the drum camp, I would say I look up to in that sense because they were so personable with everyone. And I loved that. The business side of it's an interesting one. I feel like if I go really specific, there's a couple of like almost like coffee roasters in Bristol that I find really interesting in a sense of like they're making really good products, but their main ethos is doing everything to the best standard they can, even in a sense of like how they treat their employees, and they're very public about that. So paying like the living wage, not just the minimum wage, and being very ethical with like where they're getting coffee from, and then very ethical with kind of how they're then transporting it. And it's all that stuff of like you can make a lot of money in really negative, immoral ways. And I think I always respect it more if someone earns less, but they're doing everything to like the top degree of ethics.
What are your goals for drumming, business, and life in general?
Yeah, drumming is a good one in a sense of I usually say everything I'm doing at the moment I love and I really enjoy it. I just want to do everything I'm currently doing just at a higher level. So I love doing the session stuff. I love playing other people's music that they've written. Like, I love that. It would just be nice to be doing that more and maybe at a slightly higher level. I love doing the clinics and stuff, but so doing that more regularly and maybe on slightly bigger stages would be really fun. I love the teaching side of what I'm doing. I'd like to maybe have more students that are like maybe professional level. So it's kind of most of my students at the moment are kind of either beginners or fairly early on. And then I've got a handful that are like working pros, and it's like, that ratio would be quite nice to shift a little bit. So it's basically all the stuff I'm doing at the moment, just all up a little bit on steroids almost. Business wise, I'm not particularly money driven, if I'm honest. I prefer experiences over like just cash. So my thing is business. As long as I'm living really comfortably and my wife's happy, then I'm pretty happy with that. And then family stuff, like we got a lovely little dog now called Kylo, who's he's a year and a half, so he's settling in. He's doing really well, but I'd like him to keep being happy, and then like just keeping the home and family life good. You know what I mean? I think like, you know, we probably will be moving into maybe kids at some point, you know, having a little family, which would be nice. And then see how that navigates with obviously the work life as well, which is why I really enjoy listening to your podcast, because I think you're both very open about being drummers and having kids. And I think you're proving that it's doable, which is lovely, because I think I always had a slight misconception about you have a family when you don't want to do anything else work-wise. And I'm like, that's clearly not true, because everyone I've spoken to who has kids doesn't say that.
Thank you. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
We're really lucky that we get people on here who are open to talk about stuff. So you're also one of those people who's being very open with us. So that's lovely.
It's important, I think. A peek behind the curtain is good sometimes.
I was going to ask, what's your like biggest area of challenge, if you have one?
Yeah, I think the overthinking one is a massive one. I think almost like the expectations I put on myself, I think are sometimes actually a bit unrealistic. And I think I fall into that trap quite quickly, where you could probably say it's perfectionism, really. It's actually more labelled as that. So it's, you know, if something isn't just absolutely perfect in the way that I see it should be, then I go very inward quite quickly. So I think in a way I always describe it as like, I think I get in my own way a lot more than I need to. And I think every so often I have a bit of a, almost like a very stern chat with myself, where I'm just like, you get to play drums for a living. You have a lovely home life. Like, just enjoy it, rather than constantly viewing what you don't have and what, quote unquote, isn't working. Just actually enjoy the process a bit more. And it's like, you know, when I look in the diary, there's enough fun stuff in there where I'm like, I don't really have the right to be constantly looking at where work life isn't going and getting kind of fixed on that. So I think, yeah, perfectionism is a big one. I think the overthinking is a big one. I think, like, mentally, I've always been a little bit jumpy anyway, so I think I go up and down quite quick. So I think trying to navigate that as well, if I'm in a bit of a dip, as I call it, that can be kind of challenging as well. And it all ties into each other, doesn't it? Like your personal life and mental health and work life, we try to keep them all separate, I guess, but they all kind of blur into one occasionally, don't they?
Yeah, and I think being musicians or creatives, sometimes we're in that predisposition to have maybe this busy mind sometimes, and standard that if you don't hit it, then you're going to feel shit. And it's like retraining yourself to go, no, it's good enough, and I'm just happy I'm doing it. It's hard not to have the goal or the expectation all the time, you know. But I think we share it.
The idea of like, also, I just cut straight over you.
No. I think that's a common thread amongst a lot of musicians, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think even the nature of the work we do. So it's like, if I wasn't a good teacher, all my students would just stop coming. If I wasn't a good drummer who learnt songs and set lists inside out, I wouldn't get hired back again. So it's very easy to fall into the mindset of also that the way you deliver is also where your value is. And I think that can very easily then move into the personal headspace of like, well, if people don't like being around me, then that's a problem. And if I'm not funny, people won't enjoy my company, therefore they won't want to be around me. And suddenly I'm like, all that value based on performance, I'm now applying to my personal life as well. And it's very easy to slip between the two. Yeah, it's tough. It's like a lot to mentally navigate, isn't it?
That's why I have Gemma, and I call her every day.
Yeah. Accountability, generally, I really rate it. Really rate it. Having some people around you who can just ground you occasionally and be like, get out your own head, you're fine.
I think just from speaking to you for the last half an hour, it comes across immediately that you're a really warm, kind person. And, I
Oh, that's kind.
think
Thank you.
you've got nothing you need to worry about. That's obviously why people come to you for all the stuff they do. It's good.
That's kind. Thank you. But
Uh,
again, it is a good lesson, isn't it? Of like, it's so easy to project and be like, was it Kira? I remember we had a really good chat at the UK Drum Show last year and this was, I'm going to word this and it's going to be so stupid when I say it out loud, but like we went for dinner and I spilt like a little bit of food on my t-shirt and I was like, I need to go back to the hotel and change. And you were like, well, yeah, but like, you need to walk away from the bar. Why don't you just, and I was like, no, like I need to, look the part. And I remember you saying like, but if anyone looks at you and thinks less of you because of that, that says so much more about them. And obviously I still went to change my t-shirt. I totally ignored you. But the point you made was really good. Where I was like, yeah, that's me now going into my own head and going, if I look messy, people will perceive me in this way. And that isn't quote unquote on brand. And it's the same when I talk to people, like it's so easy to kind of say a comment and then instantly go, that was stupid to say. They're going to think X and Y of me now. So I think that's a massive challenge, is the constant overanalyzing everything you do to an exhausting level.
Mate, yeah. Isn't there a book? I think it's like the art in a game of tennis or something.
Yeah.
And they talk about that, and this was in terms of playing, and they were saying, if you are switching your brain into the analyze mode, you will never be at ease and present and play your best. Whereas if you manage somehow to switch that off and just be responding mode, then you're there, and that's usually when you play your best, right? And you're like, well, I was just in the vibe, loving life. But it's hard to switch that analytical part off sometimes and to be completely present. And I think it just, I don't know. I wish you didn't go back and change your t-shirt.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I understand why you did. I completely understand why you did. But it's true. If anyone noticed, they're twat,
Yeah, I'm like it. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think, like, on what you just said, I think that also comes back to identity a little bit as well. Of like, it's so easy to overanalyze our playing when we're constantly going like, are people enjoying this, and how are they? I had a little bit with the I opened for Eddie Thrower at a clinic, and I had a little bit of that on the drive over, where I was like, Eddie has a very unique way of playing that's very known to him. And I remember going into my own head quite a lot, being like, oh, but I don't play like that, and everyone's paying to come see him. Like, okay, well, I guess they'll just knuckle through my set and then I'll get through it quickly. And then remembering like previous podcasts I've listened to where it's like, but I'm not Eddie, so I shouldn't try and play like Eddie. I should just go and play like AJ. And people will like that and people won't like that. And it's almost accepting that there will be multiple people that won't enjoy my playing, and that's totally fine. And you just go and do your thing. And it's back to that identity thing of, if you know the type of musician you are and you can just stay out your own head and just enjoy playing drums, you enjoy it more. And I think more people then enjoy it because you're enjoying it. And it's just, everyone's happier. Everyone's happier.
That's it. Gemma, didn't you post something about the Grand Canyon?
Oh my
that
gosh,
you?
yes. I saw something hilarious because like I said earlier, I've really struggled with that for a lot of years as well. Like you were saying, worrying what people were thinking of me. And I found this reel that was really funny about, if you're worrying what people are thinking of you, something like that. Just know that the Grand Canyon also gets bad reviews. And then there were loads of
I love that.
reviews that people had left, really ridiculous things. It was brilliant. Like,
That's really cool.
not really a Grand Canyon. It's, barely a whatever. Just
a big
silly.
ditch.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Can we find out what you're up to next, please? Tell us what you've got planned.
So I'm trying to think ahead. The imminent one is I'm doing a masterclass with Isaac Jamba. So he's basically in Europe doing some stuff with Meinl, I think. And then he rang me and was like, as I'm over this way, can we do something like in the UK? So it's a one-off date for him, and it's in Bristol. So we're doing that together, which will be good fun. And then I've got quite a busy festival season coming up, so that'll be quite good fun. And then I have a tour with Laura Evans in September, and that's going to be around Germany and Switzerland, which will be very fun because I love Germany. It's a very cool country. And then it's the drum camp in October. UK Drum Show obviously will be happening as well, which is always good fun. And then the Dorset Drum Festival. I'm playing that next March. Now that I'm really excited about, and that ties into our chat quite nicely. Of the organizer booked me for the second stage at like 1 p.m. and I was like, cool, sounds great. And then he sent me the full lineup, and I was like, oh, I'm on the main stage now. Okay, you booked me for the second stage, assuming it was a typo. And he was like, oh no, I've moved you up. So I was like, cool, that's fun. And then sent me a follow-up email that he's moved me up again. So I'm right before the 3 headliners who, if it comes together how he says, is going to be a bit ridiculous. It'll be one of those definite career moments where you're like, oh, okay. So that ties in nicely. The reason I mentioned that, it ties in nicely to everything we spoke about today. Of like that stomach drop almost happened straight away, and I had to very quickly have a chat with myself and be like, this will be good. This will be great fun. So that's obviously quite a way away, so I can get practicing for that and try and not embarrass myself.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, don't worry.
I'm actually really excited for it. Really excited for it. I think it'll definitely be when it's all announced and whatnot, I think it'll be a really exciting one for sure.